Nicolas Cage has lost a number of homes to foreclosure.
Nicolas Cage, famed for blockbuster hits like National Treasure and Con Air, ventured boldly into the world of high-end real estate with a mansion in Los Angeles' Garden District. This grand home, initially a beacon of luxury, has become a symbol of distress, encapsulating one of Cage's most tumultuous chapters. Despite its splendor, the mansion's haunting past and Cage's financial woes have painted a starkly different picture. With eerie vibes and a slew of unresolved issues, rumors are swirling about why this property remains unsold. Let's dive in and uncover the shocking truths lurking behind its deserted halls. Nicolas Cage. It was a massive 13,000 square foot property with a history as dark as it is complex. Purchased in 2006 for nearly $3 million, Cage was drawn to its vast potential. However, this mansion was more than just an opulent residence. It was previously owned by Delaine Lori, infamous for horrific acts against slaves in the attic, and this grim past continues to haunt the property. There are some shocking rumors going about why the property can't be sold. Let's find out. By the way, the costs for maintaining this grand but unsold mansion keep mounting. Could these escalating expenses be nudging Cage toward a financial strain? Let's first explore what he's been pouring all this money into. Despite knowing its past, Cage saw something in the mansion and decided to make it his own. He spent millions more on renovations, adding an Olympic-sized swimming pool and beautiful staircases imported from far-off places. Cage worked hard to turn the house into a stunning modern home, a blend of luxury that stood in stark contrast to its dark past. But things didn't go as planned. Cage's purchase and all the expensive upgrades came at a time when his financial situation was starting to crumble. The costs of maintaining such a huge and extravagant property were overwhelming. When he decided it was time to sell, Cage hoped to get back some of his investment by listing the mansion for just under $8 million. But finding a buyer was harder than he expected. But this wasn't the worst part. While the mansion had all the luxury features, like the huge pool, the grand staircases, and spacious rooms, potential buyers couldn't look past its troubling history. The house's eerie backstory loomed large, and even those who were initially interested hesitated. The combination of the steep price and the tales of what had happened within its walls scared off many would-be buyers. Years went by, and the mansion stayed on the market, unsold and untouched. It stood as a sad reminder of both its haunting past and Cage's own financial struggles. The mix of its dark history and the challenges of selling such a large, costly home made it nearly impossible to find someone willing to take it on. People who had the money to buy it often paused, unsure if they wanted a house with such a shadow hanging over it. But that wasn't the only issue. The Garden District, known for its beautiful homes and wealthy residents, was also a place where people valued peace and good energy. The mansion's history didn't fit well with the neighborhood's vibe. This added another layer of difficulty, as both the local community and potential buyers were torn between the mansion's grand appearance and the darker stories attached to it. Next, let's explore Lil Wayne's luxurious but challenging mansion in Miami. Lil Wayne. In 2011, Lil Wayne, one of the biggest names in music at the time, decided to buy a stunning mansion in Miami for $11.6 million. He called it Wayne Manor, a grand home that matched his larger-than-life lifestyle and love for luxury. But this wasn't just any house. It was packed with features that most people could only dream about. The mansion had a rooftop skating rink, a pond filled with sharks, and a fancy 2-story master bedroom that you could only get to by a glass elevator. It was the ultimate symbol of luxury and exclusivity. Spread across a huge property, Wayne Manor had 7 luxurious bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, each designed like a room in a 5-star hotel. The entertainment options were endless, with a massive swimming pool, a state-of-the-art home theater perfect for watching movies in comfort, and a fully equipped recording studio, so Lil Wayne could make music without ever leaving his home. This wasn't just a house, it was a playground for the rich and famous, a physical representation of Lil Wayne's rise to fame and his bold, extravagant lifestyle that many of his fans admired. But owning a house like this wasn't as easy as it seemed. By 2015, Lil Wayne started to realize that maintaining such a huge and extravagant property was more work and cost than he had bargained for. The upkeep was relentless and expensive. The shark pond, the rooftop skate park, the pool, everything came with a hefty price tag. On top of that, the property taxes were sky high. It became clear that even for someone as wealthy as Lil Wayne, the costs were getting out of hand. He decided to put Wayne Manor on the market for $15 million, hoping to make a profit. But things didn't go as planned. Buyers weren't lining up as he had hoped. Open houses were quiet, and the buzz usually surrounding celebrity homes was strangely absent. It turned out that not everyone was interested in such a high-maintenance and uniquely styled property. The features that made Wayne Manor so special to him, like the shark pond and rooftop skate park, became the very things that scared buyers away. Months passed, and with no serious offers, it became clear that the asking price was too high. But this wasn't the worst part. The exclusivity and custom features that had made the mansion so perfect for Lil Wayne had turned into obstacles that kept it from selling. The market was simply too small for such a specific and high-maintenance property. By 2017, after several price cuts and facing the reality of financial loss, Lil Wayne finally sold the mansion for $10.50 million, much less than what he originally paid and far below his asking price. What was once a bold statement of his success and a lavish home had become a lesson in the changing nature of fame, fortune, and the unpredictable world of real estate. The sale marked a humbling end to a chapter that was once full of excitement and grandeur. In the end, Wayne Manor stood as a reminder that sometimes even the most glamorous dreams can come with unexpected challenges. Lil Wayne's experience with this house was not just about living in luxury, but also about understanding the realities that come with maintaining such a high-profile lifestyle. It showed that no matter how high you climb, there are always practical sides to consider, especially when it comes to managing something as complex as a multi-million-dollar mansion. Moving on, Courtney Love's neglected retreat in Olympia tells its own quiet story. Courtney Love. In the mid-1990s, just a year after losing her husband, Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love bought a quiet retreat in Olympia, Washington. It was 1995, and she paid $447,000 for the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property, hoping it would be a peaceful getaway. But despite her intentions, Courtney never really settled into the home. Over time, the house was left alone, and nature slowly took over. By 2011, what was once a promising escape had turned into a rundown property, with wild grass and overgrown plants taking over the land. The neglect didn't just stop at nature reclaiming the property. The house began attracting unwanted attention from local vandals. The stables and the inside of the house became covered in graffiti, turning the place into more of an eyesore than a sanctuary. People looking for a hidden spot began using it, and the home that was meant to be a place of peace turned into a problem. It wasn't just about a little cleanup, it needed a major fix to get back any of its lost charm. When Courtney decided to sell the Olympia retreat, the real estate listing didn't hold back about the home's condition. It was clear that the place was a true fixer-upper. The house needed more than just a little sprucing up. It required a full-scale renovation to make it livable again. This blunt approach in the listing was a way of telling potential buyers that taking on this property was no small task. They'd be signing up for a serious project, not just a home purchase. Despite the property's backstory and Courtney's celebrity status, buyers weren't interested. From 2011 to 2018, the house sat on the market with little to no attention. Its rundown condition and the mixed feelings tied to its history made it a tough sell. Desperate to move on from this piece of her past, Courtney had to make a difficult decision. She drastically dropped the price to $320,000, much lower than what she had originally paid and what the property might have been worth with a little care. But even this wasn't the most frustrating part. It wasn't until the price drop that someone finally saw the potential buried beneath the mess. A buyer took on the challenging job of restoring the retreat, rolling up their sleeves for a complete overhaul. The renovation wasn't just about making the house look better, it was about fixing years of neglect. tackling structural issues and bringing back the character the home once had. Today, the Olympia retreat stands renewed, a shining example of what can happen when someone sees beyond the surface. It's not just a restored home, but a symbol of how even the most neglected places can be given new life. This transformation shows that, with enough care and hard work, something once lost can be found again. Now, let's see how Elon Musk dealt with his oversized mansion, signaling a big change in his life. Elon Musk. In 2017, Elon Musk, known for creating Tesla and SpaceX, bought a stunning mansion for $23 million from the family of French businessman Count Christian Delaine. Built in 1922, this luxurious home was in one of the fanciest neighborhoods and was truly a masterpiece. It had 7 bedrooms, 9.5 bathrooms, and lots of high-end features. From leather-lined bookshelves to a modern home theater and beautiful Tuscan-style kitchens, the house was a perfect blend of classic charm and modern comfort. Musk purchased the mansion, thinking it would be a great fit for his lifestyle. But soon, he realized that the property was far too large for his needs. By 2020, he decided to sell it, saying that it was better suited for a big family who could fully enjoy all the space and luxury it offered. He hoped to find a new owner who would love the home as much as he did. Around the same time, Musk made a surprising announcement. He planned to sell almost all of his belongings, including his real estate holdings, which were worth over $100 million. This decision was part of a larger shift in his life. He wanted to focus more on his ambitious goals with SpaceX, especially his plans for space exploration. Among the properties he listed were 3 mansions in Bel Air, including one that once belonged to actor Gene Wilder. But this wasn't the toughest part. The most impressive of all his properties was the mansion he bought from the Delaine family. Initially, Musk put it on the market for $37 million, but it didn't sell quickly. Selling such a high-priced estate was tough because there were only a few people who could afford that level of luxury. Realizing this, Musk lowered the price by $5 million, eventually selling it for $32 million. Selling these homes marked a big change for Musk. It wasn't just about money. It was a shift in how he wanted to live. By letting go of his mansions, Musk aimed to simplify his life so he could put more focus and resources into his space projects. For him, this was not just about cutting back on material things. It was about dedicating everything he could to make progress in space travel. His vision of possibly colonizing other planets, like Mars, is not just a wild dream. It's something he is actively working toward, and selling his homes was a small but important step in that direction. But this wasn't the end of the challenges. His former mansion now stands as a symbol of the complexities that come with great wealth and the decisions that people like Musk have to make. For Musk, the mansion was more than just a place to live. It was part of a larger journey. It represented a stage in his life where he balanced personal comfort with bigger ambitions. The story of this home ties directly into Musk's larger narrative of pushing the limits of what's possible for humanity. Switching to Steve Jobs, we see his struggle with a historic mansion in a battle between old and new. Steve Jobs. Built in 1925, the Jackling House was a grand mansion originally made for Daniel Jackling, a wealthy copper businessman. Designed by famous architect George Washington Smith, this Spanish Revival estate was the picture of early 20th century luxury, with its stucco walls, red-tiled roofs, and a beautiful courtyard. The house was massive, covering 17,250 square feet with 30 rooms, including 14 lavish bedrooms that showcased the stylish and rich design, typical of California's most luxurious homes of that time. In 1984, Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, bought the Jackling House for $3.50 million, a great deal considering its size and history. However, despite its impressive design, Jobs wasn't fond of the house. He bought it mainly because he loved the location, and his plan was to tear it down and build something more modern. But this idea didn't sit well with everyone. Preservationists quickly stepped in, arguing that the mansion was more than just a building. It was a piece of history that should be saved. They suggested that Jobs could easily find another spot for his modern dream home without destroying this architectural gem. Jobs' proposal to demolish the mansion triggered a strong public backlash and set off years of legal battles. Preservation groups fought hard, insisting that the house should be restored instead of torn down. They argued that even though the house was old and in need of repair, it was still worth saving because of its unique design and historical value. Jobs, however, saw things differently. He believed the house was too damaged and simply didn't fit his or his family's needs. To him, the only solution was to tear it down completely. But this wasn't the end of the controversy. The legal fight grabbed a lot of media attention, highlighting a big debate between moving forward with new ideas and preserving the past. After years of court disputes, Jobs finally got the green light to demolish the mansion in 2011, just a few months before he passed away. The demolition stirred up mixed feelings. Some mourned the loss of a historical treasure, while others were eager to see what new creation might take its place. After the mansion was demolished, the land where the Jackling house once stood became a powerful symbol of the ongoing struggle between old and new. The legal battles and the dramatic end of the house left a mark on how people viewed the property. What was once a highly valued and historic estate now carried the weight of controversy, making it harder to sell and less appealing to potential buyers. But this wasn't the worst part. The property, once seen as a desirable piece of architectural history, struggled to find new owners willing to deal with its complicated past. The story of the Jackling house serves as a reminder of the tensions that can arise when the dreams of tech innovators clash with the efforts to preserve history. The transformation of the estate from a celebrated mansion to a contentious site shows how the fight between past and future continues to shape places like Silicon Valley. Finally, we enter Jason Derulo's custom mansion in Coconut Creek, where personal style meets market reality. Jason Derulo. In Coconut Creek, Florida, Jason Derulo's Coconut Cream Mansion stood as a grand symbol of his luxurious lifestyle. Jason named the house himself, putting his personal touch on every corner of the mansion. He turned one of the suites into a dance studio, with mirrors covering every wall, and the guest house became a top-of-the-line recording studio filled with the latest technology. It was more than just a home. It was a space designed for his creativity and unique tastes. Jason bought this mansion in 2012 for $1.75 million, spanning nearly 12,000 square feet. It had 7 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, each reflecting his glamorous style. Over the years, Jason made countless upgrades, pouring his heart into making it a place that suited his every need. It was both a home and a personal retreat, where he could work, relax, and entertain in true celebrity fashion. But as time went on, Jason found himself craving a change. The charm of Coconut Creek started to fade, and he longed for a home closer to the ocean. His eye was drawn to a castle-like mansion in Tarzana, and he decided it was time to sell the Coconut Cream Mansion. Hoping to make a profit, he listed the house in 2015 with an asking price close to $3 million, reflecting the upgrades and love he had put into the property. The mansion had plenty to offer. It boasted a gourmet kitchen, a spacious home theater, and a gym for keeping fit. Outside, there was a resort-style pool, a hot tub, and even a basketball court. The grounds were beautifully landscaped, providing a private space perfect for relaxation or hosting parties. It was everything Jason could have wanted, but finding a buyer who shared his vision wasn't easy. But this wasn't the worst part. The real challenge was that the mansion was so personalized to Jason's tastes that it didn't appeal to many potential buyers. What worked perfectly for Jason's high-profile lifestyle felt overly specific to others. The dance studio, the recording space, and the unique design choices that made the house special to him didn't necessarily fit what typical buyers were looking for. In the end, selling the Coconut Cream Mansion was more difficult than Jason had expected. Despite all its luxury and unique features, the mansion struggled to find its place in the broader market. After a year on the market and a few price adjustments, Jason finally sold the property in 2016 for just under $2 million. It was a far cry from his original hopes, but it marked the end of his chapter in Coconut Creek. The Coconut Cream Mansion's tale raises a compelling issue. Should celebrities customize their homes to such an extent that resale becomes a challenge? Like, comment, and subscribe to join the discussion on this luxury real estate dilemma.